A Palestinian-American doctor walked out of a meeting with President Biden at the White House yesterday, and several people are dead. Hundreds are injured after a powerful earthquake struck Taiwan during morning rush hour. Good morning, I'm Janine Herbst from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. President Biden met with a small group of Muslims at the White House yesterday, but one of the attendees, a Palestinian-American physician, walked out of the meeting before it was over. As NPR's Asma Khalid reports, it's a sign of just how contentious the White House's relationship with Arab Americans and Muslims has become amid the war.
Dr. Thair Ahmed said his actions were a kind of protest. He recently returned from aiding patients in Gaza, and he wanted to share what he had witnessed firsthand with the president.
It was tough. I wanted to communicate that message, but at the same time, I also wanted it to be clear that up until now, what the White House has done is not sufficient enough.
He said before he left the meeting, he handed Biden a letter from an 8-year-old orphaned Palestinian girl, essentially begging the president to not allow Israeli troops to invade the city of Rafah, where she and more than 1 million Palestinians are seeking shelter. Asma Khalid, NPR News.
In line with what other recent surveys are finding, the latest NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll shows an uptick in approval ratings for President Biden. But as NPR's Domenico Montanaro reports, he's still lagging with key groups.
Biden's approval rating is up to 43%. That's a 3-point increase since the February Marist poll. His favorability rating is also the highest it's been in 3 years at 44%. Biden does well with black voters and college-educated white voters, but he's far below where his re-election campaign would want him to be with young voters and Latinos. 61% of voters 18 to 29 and 56% of Latinos disapprove of the job Biden is doing. Those are major warning signs for Democrats who need them to be on board come November. Domenico Montanaro, NPR News, Washington.
In Taiwan, at least 9 people are dead. Hundreds are injured after a major earthquake struck off the East Coast during morning rush hour. That's the sound of buildings and the ground shaking in Taipei, nearly 100 miles from the epicenter. NPR's Emily Fang reports the quake prompted Taiwan's biggest semiconductor maker to evacuate production lines.
Taiwan's TSMC says it's closed some of its production lines in the south of Taiwan after a 7.4 magnitude quake hit the island. The quake hit in the morning, but aftershocks continued for the next 2 hours or so, and tsunami warnings for nearby Japan and the Philippines have been issued. Taiwan is one of the world's biggest and most important hubs for making tiny semiconductor chips that are in our electronic devices and cars. And the U.S., which buys a lot of the chips, has voiced concerns about Taiwan's vulnerability to natural disaster, as it lies directly on a geological fault line. Emily Fang, NPR News, Taipei, Taiwan.
This is NPR News.